my presentations on misinformation on social media and mental health. So imagine you're scrolling through your feed at night and you're coming across a 30-second video that says, like just eat an orange in a shower and you'll instantly feel less anxious. At the time, it sounds crazy and it sounds ridiculous, but like I said, it sounds absurd. But more than half of the top of the mental health videos on major platforms were found to contain misleading or inaccurate advice. So seeing something like this may seem crazy, but if you see other videos, other influencers that you look up to, that you believe, that you want to be like, you want to act like, you will understand that, and you will believe it to some point. And additionally, with that as well, there's the algorithm as well. So with Instagram and with all social media apps, the algorithm, it doesn't matter whether or not the video is accurate or not. It will just, whether or not you're watching that video, you watch the whole entire clip, or you watch other videos like that topic, it will continue showing you videos based off the algorithm, whether it's accurate or inaccurate. So it just continues filling up your feed with inaccurate information, further misinforming you, and misinforming you into the wrong direction when you should be in a better direction than that. So the thesis statement, unchecked misinformation on social media, combined with a lack of accountability by platforms and users, is seriously harming college students' mental health, and we must act now. All right, so personal experience regarding this issue. So I obviously did a lot of peer review research for this topic regarding mental health and the misinformation. I also understand it as a college student as well, not even just teaching it to you guys, but I also understand it as well as the digital pressures that college students face daily, whether it's passively scrolling or doom scrolling, being distracted, the FOMO that comes with it, the peer pressure, or the cyberbullying, whatever it is. All of that, can really unbalance the whole entire, your whole entire, mental being or mental consensus based off the other feed that you're seeing throughout social media. And my research and familiarity with the students' experiences makes me a credible speaker on this topic. All right, so the preview of the main points. So we have the problems right here. We have the causes and the solutions. So the causes is very, very important because without the causes, there's no problems, cause and effect. So that's very, very important. So we see this, we're studying the problems first, the causes that causes those problems, right? And the overall solutions and what we can do in the future to further prevent this misinformation from spreading to others, not just us. All right, so we're going to go to the problem now. So a recent review found that the mental health misinformation is common on social media platforms. Though research is still limited, the review also highlighted that much of this misinformation is presented in a way that appears credible, making it difficult for users to distinguish between accurate and false information. So, like I said before, you see information, it seems crazy at first, but you see a lot of other videos with the same information, same backing, same evidence backing, even when it's not credible at all, and there's no media literacy whatsoever, no checking if that source is credible, you'll believe it because you see it over and over and over with influencers that you believe and you follow and you look up to. Exposure to fake news and misinformation correlates with increased psychological distress, such as anxiety and depression. Studies suggest that reported exposure can distort a person's perception of reality and lead to feelings of helplessness or confusion about how to care for their mental health. So people usually go to the internet to actually reduce anxiety and depression, but what they're doing with misinformation and being vulnerable to misinformation on the internet like that, you're actually increasing the anxiety and depression. So it's the opposite effect. And by doing that, and by continuing to do that, then you start to be unsure of the new information that you see on the internet, unsure of these tips for mental health, and you don't believe it anymore. So then you see other videos that might sound crazy or might even sound convincing, and you don't believe it anymore because the first time you see the tip, you were unsure of it, you were confused by it because you didn't think because it didn't end up being helpful at all or real. So it's really, really important to make sure that every single time you see anything mental health related or any tip with that, there's a credible resource and you have some sort of media literacy. College-age students experience unique vulnerabilities. Social media can contribute to constant comparison with peers. Like I said, fear of missing out, FOMO, cyberbullying, and disruptive sleep patterns due to a long time of passive scrolling or doom scrolling, whatever you want to call it. All of which amplify mental health risks and can make students more susceptible to believing misleading or harmful content. All right, now we're going to get into the causes. So this is pretty much what's stirring up the entire problem, and it's what we need to identify first, and what's, in my opinion, the most important. So platform algorithms, short-form content, influencer culture, and low oversight create an environment where misleading advice spreads quickly. So like I said, you can see one video about this eating an orange in the shower will make you less anxious type of example, right? and then say one of your favorite people you watch up, you look up to, says that, you believe it, right? Or you see it, and then because you watch that entire video, or you watch videos like that, more videos pop up in your algorithm regarding that issue, regarding that mental health tip. And then because of the so many videos overlaying with this issue, it starts to convince you a little bit, and you believe it. And in the future, like I said, you then become unsure of future tips. So it just causes more confusion and unsureness. Students and young adults often lack strong digital literacy, like I was saying, or mental health literacy, and they get self-diagnosed or follow advice from unqualified influencers that have no medical background whatsoever, which can lead to misunderstandings about mental health and reduce trust in licensed professionals and evidence-based resources. So by using these self-diagnoses from random influencers that have no medical background whatsoever, it can not only lead you to a misunderstanding, but reduce the trust in licensed professionals that have a medical background that trained and worked hard years for this. So it's just pretty much like digressing from what we're supposed to be doing, rather than progressing speaking to a licensed professional. That's what they get paid for, rather than an unqualified influencer. Lack of accountability by social media companies and sometimes users means there are few effective checks on misleading posts. When combined with mental health vulnerabilities, this environment increases their risk as students will adopt harmful beliefs or behaviors based on false or inaccurate information. Now we're going to the solutions, what we can try to form from the causes and the problems. So as students, you can increase your digital and mental health literacy by pausing before believing or sharing a post. So before consuming this information, right? I would say just in general, not even just for this scenario, but in general, just take breaks, take pauses. If you can, set screen time boundaries. I know it's crazy at this age and this time, and it sucks. I can't even do it myself, but it would help a lot, and it would help the reduction or the chances of this vulnerable situation of exposing yourself to this misinformation and protecting your overall mental well-being. Educational institutions such as colleges can create programs on media literacy and misinformation. They can also offer peer support groups and workshops. So these are just an idea. I think colleges should implement more programs, or more, not even classes, or just like announcements, just pointing out and educating students in media literacy and finding what is credible and what is not credible to make sure you can understand it, so you don't consume this information that's clearly false, and then in the future not be able to consume any other information because you think it's going to be fake. They can provide a safe space to discuss mental health concerns and experiences with social media. And social media platforms and policymakers could create accountability measures. So what they should do is, if social media allows, and is trend, and it allows to this harmful content to be spread all over the internet, they should be held accountable for that. And also, they should be using fact-checking systems and transparent about how content is promoted. Yes, they do already do this, but it's not to the extent that it should be doing. They should also moderate mental health information more carefully. Legal scholars are suggested that platforms should be held responsible for harmful or misleading content. That's it. So overall consensus. So like today, looked at the problem of social media and misinformation and the impact on mental health. We also examined the causes of this problem, like I said, and then so the causes and what the problems are, and then what we can use as solutions to help fix this and alleviate this spread and widespread misinformation. Finally, we explored concrete solutions for students, for colleges, and for social media platforms. There's no resources.